Episode 4 saw us wrapping up with the Scar PDW, which was a really nice place to end because I feel like we jumped into a lot of really fun guns throughout this episode. But before we hop in, make sure if you guys are enjoying this, make sure you are hitting the sub button. I know a lot of you guys are watching this and you're not subbing, which is a little weird to me, but I mean, hey, to each their own. And also, if you guys are enjoying, make sure you hit the like. It helps push me to the recommended and helps grow the channel as well. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Slane for making the new channel art. It was really dope of him to do. He sent it to me out of nowhere, which is awesome, but let's hop into this. The MG36 is exactly what you would expect out of an LMG in Phantom Forces. It behaves in a way that most of them do. It's extremely high accuracy, it's extremely high ammo. Obviously you have the 100 bullets in a magazine or a drum or whatever you gun nerds would like to call it. It does exactly what you'd expect. It leaves very little to imagination. The gun handles obviously really well with no attachments, with all attachments, with the best, with the worst attachments. The gun does have insanely good accuracy and you can't deny that. I personally have always preferred using alternate aim, which you use by pressing T on your keyboard, T standing for to sub to my channel. But anyway that you do decide to use the gun, it can still hold its own very easily. But truthfully, having the M60 already unlocked, it kind of just puts a damper in it. I feel like the gun just doesn't have any presence in the game. It really just, it's outmeasured by every gun. If you want to give it a try, go ahead. Like I said, you don't need to invest any credits into making the gun handle well. It just automatically will do that from the start. It's worth not wasting your time on the gun. Just stick to something else. Rank 34 is another one of the very few unique situations where we unlock two guns at the same level, those being the SL8 DMR and the M45A1 pistol. We're going to kick it off with the SL8 first, that's just the way I decided to do it, and this gun was actually somewhat enjoyable. It was much more of a spam DMR, which I personally really liked. I didn't feel restricted by the rate of fire whatsoever. Although my aim may have been complete booty butt cheeks, it was still a decent gun to use. I can't knock it on that. For the most part, I didn't really need any attachments. You honestly don't need attachments with DMRs. Like, really, you don't. Using like a compensator or muzzle brake doesn't really do all that much in my opinion. The only real benefit you get to these guns is unlocking new sights, so I really wasn't changing it up too much. I basically used iron sight, and any real sight that I enjoyed personally after that I would just throw on right away because it really didn't matter what I had. Nothing was really going to give it an improvement. As for how the gun played, again, probably one of my top pick DMRs. The SKS and the SL8 were both really enjoyable so far in this series, and I might have to change my opinion later as we go on and unlock some more, but as of right now, I'm definitely going to lock that in. The SL8 and the SKS are definitely going to be top two as of right now. Besides that, we didn't really have too many crazy feeds with it or anything. I believe the M45A1, we might have actually had more clips, so let's find out. So post-editing Godstatus, realized we didn't have as many crazy M45A1 clips as I thought. However, we only really had like 17,000 XP to work with it, but it is what it is. I overall really enjoy the gun. It's not as strong as the M1911, but it still is a really good pistol. It's a pistol that I use the most probably before I switched to the M1911, just because it is a little bit stronger. It can do insane damage close range, and if you're able to spam your left click as fast as possible, you can do some real good damage with it. As you can see, I was just kind of sticking moving. I was taking a few burst shots at people, killing people really fast, coming back, reloading. You can definitely make very big use of this gun in kind of a stick and move environment. If you want to play something close range, just spam people down and then move. Definitely give this a try. You could also use something like the M1911. Those are probably my two top picks for this. If you're wondering why this episode took so long to come out, this is why. The AKU-12 is a gun that I had some mixed feelings about. While the gun does stun some amazing accuracy that truthfully rivals like the Aug series, which is impressive in itself, the damage on the gun really turned me off from it. Where I'm used to using the golden standards of ARs being like a 4-shot anywhere, obviously this is a carbine, not an AR, just shut up and hear me out. Where I'm used to the golden standards of ARs being like a 4-shot anywhere, such as like the G36, the L85, things like that, and that really is that standard for me. Having that one more bullet to kill really does make a difference when I'm playing with this gun. It does pack a pretty strong punch in close range, being able to 3-shot anywhere up to about 30 studs, but when you really think about it, 30 studs isn't all that much. That's like the Mac 10's crazy damage range, like that just isn't far at all. So even though it may help you in those really close situations, I promise it isn't anything that's too crazy, and it isn't really a gun that I truly would want everyone using. If you need something that's desperately a super low recoil gun, sure, I mean, I guess it isn't a bad choice, but I definitely think there's better things out there. Even though the G36 has a little bit more recoil than this AK, it's definitely a million times better in all senses of the gun. That 30 stud 3-shot kill honestly is not worth using this gun over a lot of other picks out there. At least for me, it really isn't. I did not think that this gun was anything crazy. I enjoyed having low recoil, but I felt like a lot of times I was really getting out damaged by people when other times I wouldn't have been, depending on the guns I would use. This is also an issue with having to use only one gun per level. If I was using this gun on a map like Metro, I would much rather use something like the Asval and change things up. But at the same time, you guys get to see me use these at all kind of styles of combat, whether they're close, long, medium range, whatever it is, and it definitely gives you guys a decent perspective on what this gun can do. Again, not my top recommended gun, but it's also definitely something that you don't want to turn away from. Ooh, maybe let's hop into the Serbu shotgun. This is one of the only shotguns in the game that I personally actually don't mind using because it is relatively okay in my standards. You can't one-shot at crazy ranges. It isn't like an automatic shotgun. The Serbu is something that I actually kind of enjoy. It does its job up to about like 20-30 studs, maybe even a little bit further, but it isn't something that's one-shotting at 100 studs, and it isn't something too crazy. You have 2 bullets in it, unless you get the one attachment, I forget what it is, but the gun is really, really fun to use. Again, I spoke about this in the past. I started switching from the Tech 9 to the Serbu in the past few months I've been playing. Someone donated for me to use it on stream one day, and ever since then I've just fell in love with it. It's been really nice just having a gun that you can switch to a secondary and just quickly one-shot people and keep moving. I also really like it because you don't really have to aim with it. The Tech 9 can have some crazy recoil at range. With this, you just kind of shoot in a general direction and people usually just die. There's no real argument to it. They don't really have much of a chance. It's something that's a lot more laid back for me, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. As for the gun itself and the gameplay, I think we kind of popped off with this. Like, the Serbu was nuts. We did so well with it at all times on every single map that we were using it. Here's a little trick for you guys as well. I'm going to pop up a normal video, just me displaying this. If you guys want to use a shotgun more efficiently, especially one that isn't like an automatic where you reload the full drum of shells, if you're using something that's semi-auto, you go ahead and you're popping in shells. If you just left click to cancel your reload, it's actually faster. I'm going to give you guys 2 examples. As you can see right here, I'm going to be popping in a shell and not canceling it versus me canceling the reload, and you can see the difference. But besides that, the gun was really, really fun to use. It's probably my favorite secondary at this current moment. I haven't tried many other of the shotgun secondaries just because I never really cared to. The Serbu, I found it, I liked it, and I'm gonna stick with it. That's just how it is. I'm gonna miss being able to use this. I feel like I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I was able to use it for a lot longer, but you know, you win some, you lose some. Let's hop into the next. The RPK-12 was another gun that I wasn't really too excited for, considering that it's more or less just an average gun. The gun can 4-shot up to a little over 100 studs, and then it turns down to a 5-shot as you go further in range, but it really isn't anything too special. It has 45 rounds in the mag, which is pretty solid considering it is an LMG. It also can do a 3-round burst of 1000 RPMs, meaning if you wanted to macro this gun, wink wink, you guys could definitely start shredding with it. It was really average at best. It didn't impress me by any means. It also didn't really disappoint. Other than those iron sights, they're absolutely disgusting. I'd rather hip fire the gun than ever use them again. They're gross. Please delete them from the game. Change it up. Do something. I don't care what happened. Besides the iron sights, again, like I said, it was an average gun. I didn't really expect too much out of it, and it didn't show anything too special. I mean, I did alright with it, which it doesn't really say much. The gun was okay. There wasn't any real downsides to it, and if you're just looking for something average to use, then go for it. However, you guys know I don't really recommend the average guns, because that's no fun. Let's abuse the overpowered things. If you guys are looking for an LMG, the M60 is better, the H-bar, the L86, even the hammer is probably better than this. It really isn't anything special. Nothing to really say about it. The extremely old Dragunov SVU used to be one of my favorite snipers back in the day, and I actually used to have a ton of fun with it. While it wasn't the best sniper by any means, because it always has been the only sniper to not be able to one-shot at all ranges, it was for obvious reasons. With this gun being a semi-automatic and having 150 rounds per minute, it can be extremely strong. However, I seem to struggle with this gun a little bit. The quick-scoping aspect of it felt a little weird. I felt like I was just zooming in at a weird angle. I don't know, it didn't click to me like it used to. Back in the day, I used to just run around with this gun and I could tear things up, and today it wasn't for me. While I still enjoyed the gun and I still think I did alright with it, I definitely think that there's people who could do a lot better with it now than I ever could. It just felt so off in a way that it's probably just me overthinking it, but that's just how it is. While we hit some decent clips with it, I definitely got a lot of nostalgia out of using the gun because it was something that I really haven't sat down and used in years. For the unique feeling of it, I would say the SVU is definitely fun to use, but again, there's definitely better snipers out there. If you're not looking for something that feels special, don't use it. So to wrap up this episode, we run into the Aug A2, which I had some high expectations for, seeing that it is in the Aug fam. For those of you guys who don't know, the Augs are extremely accurate, decent damage guns, but this one was actually a bit surprising. I personally didn't know that the Aug A2 could 3-shot up to 50 studs. That was something that I learned, which was pretty cool. The nice cool thing about the series is I learned these things as we're going, which definitely surprised me. So this gun actually technically is better than the Aug A1, if I'm not mistaken. Feel free to correct me for any of you gun nerds out there. I felt as though that this gun had more recoil with no attachments compared to the other Augs, which was a little weird. I don't know, I'm assuming that's, you know, the balance towards having higher damage, but who can be sure. The Augs also feel like they have insanely long reloads, which, my god, it was just annoying me the whole time. But overall, the Aug A2 is a very good gun. If anyone's looking for a super accurate gun with decent damage, this is definitely one of the picks you can do. I also want to apologize. I know I said I would try to make these videos longer, but with how much I'm working and with college and everything right now, it takes so long to even record one episode, and I keep feeling like, oh, this is going to be 15 minutes, but I can only really talk about a gun for a minute or two. I'm sorry about that. As for that, though, that's going to wrap up the episode here. Again, I apologize it took so long for this to come out. I've been extremely busy. I'm actually working a 14-hour shift at the time I'm recording this, so it is what it is. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.